Good morning and welcome. Today is September 10th, 2019. I'd like to call the Martin County Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. We're going to have an invocation by Pastor Anil Singh from the Trinity United Methodist Church of Jensen Beach, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would all please stand. Pastor, good morning.
Thank you all for inviting me here, especially on this day before the anniversary of the September 11th attacks in 2001. I was born and raised in New York City, and my mother was working in downtown Manhattan, and she basically witnessed everything that happened at the World Trade Center. Some of our members at Trinity United Methodist Church lost good friends and colleagues that day, and I'm sure that we can all remember where we were on that morning. As Americans, we were all affected by what happened, and so with all of this in mind, let's join together in heart and spirit. Giver of all life, creator of all things, provider of every blessing, thank you for gathering us together. In this moment, we remember the tragic and evil events of September 11th, 2001. But even as we remember, as our hearts mourn our losses, we turn our hearts to the good we find in you. Be close to those who mourn, close to parents who lost children, to parents who to children who lost parents, and to all who lost friends and co-workers and loved ones. And we ask that you would protect our sons and daughters, our brothers and sisters, and mothers and fathers in uniform, who every day selflessly enter into harm's way to save others. Keep safe our fellow Americans who, even now, all over the world, risk and give their lives to safeguard our own. And grant your wisdom to our leaders. Unite them in mind and heart and spirit, that they might strive for peace in this nation and the world. We also ask that you would touch the hearts of those who seek our destruction. Banish from the world the darkness that allows hatred and violence to fester, and fill the world instead with the light of your love. Let your love rain down upon all the earth. Let your peace flourish in every land, and let your justice, kindness, and mercy wash over us all like an ever-flowing stream. May your loving vision of life on earth become our reality. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pastor. We appreciate it. Okay. Thank you. We have a couple of additional items this morning. Departmental Quasi-Judicial Number 2, Grove Golf Club requests for temporary certificate of occupancy. We have one consent agenda pull, consent agenda number 1, contracts that meet the threshold for board approval. It is pulled by Commissioner Hurd. We're going to hear that immediately following Commissioner comments. I know that there's some folks here that want to answer any questions Commissioner Hurd might have. And I believe that is it. Commissioner Smith.
Move approval of the agenda with the additional item of the Grove Golf Club request for temporary certificate of occupancy in the consent poll number 1.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith to accept the agenda as presented, seconded by Commissioner Hetherington. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. We have a couple of different proclamations today honoring different members of our community. The first one is a proclamation declaring Hunger Action Month in Martin County. Ms. Beaupre, you are recognized.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hunger and poverty remain issues of grave concern in the United States, the state of Florida, and in Martin County, with over 22,000 children and adults in our county categorized as food insecure. During Hunger Action Month in September, Martin County reaffirms its commitment to raising awareness about the need to combat hunger in every part of our county and providing additional resources for our residents in need. And here to accept, we have Jade Alexander with the Treasure Coast Food Bank.
Hi, I'm Ruby Aguirre. I'm with the Treasure Coast Food Bank. I'm the Client Services Manager at Whole Child Connection. And on behalf of the CEO, staff, and Board of Directors of the Treasure Coast Food Bank, we'd like to thank the commissioners for this proclamation naming September as Hunger Action Month. Treasure Coast Food Bank is the largest hunger relief organization here on the Treasure Coast and Okeechobee, providing food and other essentials. We are currently serving approximately 100,000 individuals who are finding themselves fighting hunger on a weekly basis. We cannot do this without your continued support and support of our over 300 partner agencies. In the past year, we have helped provide 40 million meals to those in need in our community. Please go to our website, stophunger.org, and look at our calendar for Hunger Action Month and join us where you can. Thank you again.
Our next proclamation is declaring Ditch the Device Day in Martin County, Florida.
Today, September 10th, is proclaimed Ditch the Device Day, encouraging the practice of family members to put away their devices or disconnect as they engage in everyday activity. This day emphasizes the importance of connecting with your children and how parental engagement is one of the most potent tools to help parents raise healthy children. And here to accept, we have Anushka Marshall with Tykes and Teen.
See people's face. Oh, sorry.
Good morning. Thank you so very much for allowing us to be here today and declaring Ditch the Device Day. My cohort with me today has some gifts for you. We are giving away cell phone sleeping bags to honor Ditch the Device Day as well.
Oh, I love it.
So all of you get your very own cell phone sleeping bag, and anyone that would like to have a cell phone sleeping bag is welcome to come to the Palm City office on September 23rd and receive one at the window. You might be used to hearing me talk about Family Day. However, this time I'd like to focus more on the quality of those interactions with family. It is a widely held misconception that multitasking makes us more productive. However, this is very untrue. We make mistakes when we are not fully present to a task, and our cell phones can be very much the culprit of our need to divide our attention. Additionally, these little devices are changing our relationships and not for the better. Research is beginning to show that normal use of cell phones among mothers of newborns is making a significant impact on the development of the parent-child bond. Believe it or not, the repercussions of that can manifest throughout that child's life. However, on the other side of that, year after year, studies show that a good parent-child bond and relationships are linked to decrease in substance abuse and risky behaviors, strong social skills, self-confidence, increase in self-control, improved school performance, and a heightened sense of security. Today, I'm inviting our community to take a stand and put those cell phones down, put them to sleep, and engage with your families during the evening. Parents and the relationship they hold with children are critical in prevention of public health issues affecting our youth. Thank you so very much.
Our next proclamation is declaring Suicide Awareness Month in Martin County, Florida.
On average, there are 129 suicides a day, or one every 11.11 minutes, including right here in Martin County. Suicide is an epidemic that can be cured, and education and awareness are critical to the stigma-ending battle faced by the mental health community. During Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, the board urges residents to learn how they may help those in need because suicide is everyone's business. And here to accept, we have Annette Goslin with New Horizons of the Treasure Coast.
Does he know that?
Right after this, she's not going to use her phone anymore.
Ed, we need to adopt the next one.
Good morning. On behalf of New Horizons, the staff, our board, volunteers, I'd like to thank you for proclaiming September as Suicide Awareness Month in Martin County. My name is Annette Goslin. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at New Horizons. For more than 60 years, New Horizons has been in our community providing mental health and addiction recovery services, including inpatient and outpatient care to over 10,000 children and adults annually, and that's regardless of their ability to pay. With 40 reported suicides in Martin County in 2018, we know the importance of sharing the message. You matter, your lives matter, and help is available. As our community leaders, we commend you on helping to raise the level of awareness about this preventable epidemic, taking the lives of our family, friends, neighbors, co-workers. In addition to the statistics you mentioned, I just want to share a couple of things. Alcohol and other substances amplify the risk of suicide among fragile populations. And for every completed suicide, 25 more have been attempted. Just imagine that. The white middle-aged males, unfortunately, number almost 70% of all completed suicides. And we heard the statistics that 129 suicides every day. That's almost double the number of homicides in a day. So we and other providers strive to teach the community about QPR. That means question, persuade, and refer, which is the CPR of suicide prevention. Let's look up from our screens and look people in the eye when we ask them how they are, especially if you know they've been going through a rough time or they recently suffered a loss. If they're not doing well, we need to ask them the hard question. Are you thinking of hurting yourself? If they answer yes, persuade them to get help. Talk to them about the different possibilities of getting help. Calling 211 for referrals, calling 911 if it's absolutely urgent. But get help. Persuade them to get help. Stay with them when they make that action. We truly appreciate your time today and hope you'll join us at our 9th annual Race for Recovery 5K run on September 28th, and it's at RSC campus in Port St. Lucie. We appreciate your attention, and raising awareness here today may help save a life. Thank you.
Our next proclamation has to have some action, so I will tell you what it is, and then we'll entertain a motion and for a vote. 90 years in the making, we're going to congratulate the Stewart Rotary Club on its 90th anniversary.
Move adoption.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously.
The Stewart Rotary Club, which received its charter in August of 1929, provides for one of the most basic human needs, the need for friendship and fellowship. However, first and foremost, Rotary is a service club. On their 90th anniversary of operation in Martin County, the Stewart Rotary Club is commended for providing nearly a decade of community service to both local and international communities. And here to accept, we have John Hostler, who is president of the Stewart Rotary Club.
Good morning, Commissioners and County staff. My name is John Hostler, and I have the privilege of being the newest president of the Stewart Rotary Club, leading us into the next 90 years. Over the years, we have had many notable presidents. Some names you will recognize, such as Evans Crary, Dennis Hudson Jr., Wayne York, the first executive director of the YMCA of the Treasure Coast, Pat Tobin, who was up here with me, a two-time president, Dr. Joyce Holmes in Martin County School District, the first female president of the Stewart Rotary Club. Rotary finally got it right in 1989. I apologize that it took us that long to involve women. In addition, Ernest Lyons, Evans Crary, retired police chief Ed Morley of the city of Stewart. Our board of directors and our 59 members appreciate the honor that you have bestowed upon us. Last year, it was our privilege to include for the first time in our annual Service Above Self Awards, Martin County Fire Rescue and Martin County Sheriff's Office. And this year will be our 18th year of honoring law enforcement and fire rescue in Martin County. We were the first Rotary Club in Martin County. 2 and 3 clubs have been spun off. Today, the Stewart Sunrise Club in Palm City was a spin-off in 1984. Over the world, we have 1.25 million Rotarians and 35,000 Rotary clubs in over 200 countries. And I'm privileged to say that out of the 23 Rotary clubs in Haiti, 21 Rotary clubs have donated financially to the disaster in the Bahamas caused by Hurricane Dorian. If the poorest country in our hemisphere can donate, then so should we. And we will be donating this week. We have a challenge in a joint meeting, and our board will meet next week, and we will be donating as well. Rotary clubs all over the world provide clean water solutions, and there's a water plant right now that is desalinating water on Abaco Island that was built 11 years ago by a Rotary club providing 6,000 gallons of fresh water a day. Our motto, adopted in 1950, was service above self. The first motto, adopted in 1911, Rotary was founded in 1905, was service before self. So everything comes first before the self, and that's about as selfless as I can imagine an organization to be. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all that you do for your county. I'm a Jensen Beach resident, so Commissioner Smith and I have known each other for a long, long time. I wish you well and the best of today. Thank you.
That was Jensen Beach, Ed.
Yeah, where did he say the Sunrise Rotary was? Palm City, okay. Just want to make sure.
Presidents from Jensen.
That's right. Good for you. Way to represent. That's the end of the proclamations. We have quite a few requests to speak forms. With that in mind, some of the names look familiar, some not so familiar, so again, I will just give you the brief rundown. You'll have 3 minutes to discuss any topic that you'd like before us this morning. If you are going to speak to an agenda topic that will come up later this afternoon, you are not able to speak on it twice. At the 2-minute and 45-second mark, you're going to hear a tone. It doesn't mean to stop. It means you have 15 seconds to finalize your thoughts. And with that in mind, we will start with our first request this morning, Mr. Tom Pine. Mr. Pine, good morning. It's good to see you.
My name is Tom Pine. I'm a resident of Jensen Beach, Florida. I've lived in Martin County for over 45 years. I'm speaking about a consent agenda item from last week, supporting and adopting Commissioner Doug Smith to be nominated position of the National Association of County Boards. I object to this. Commissioner Smith has not gained the popular vote in his district in at least the last 3 elections. I feel that this is not a good sign of a commissioner who's going to speak for the citizens of Jensen Beach. He is one of the big spenders on the commission board, recently having the Warning Field approved, waiting for the first start of an $800,000 expenditure. This will not benefit the taxpayers of Martin County, especially will not benefit the residents of Jensen Beach. This is mostly to pay back or to thank the business community that works hard to keep him elected. This was what happens when the county years ago did away with runoff elections, and now commissioners are often elected with far less than 50% of the vote. Yet they act when they're voting as if they have a supermajority of support in the community of 60 or 70%, which has not happened in years, if ever. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day.
Thank you. I would respectfully disagree. He is duly elected. Many commissioners sitting up here have not received 50%. Some vote very recently, and others have received 60% of the vote. We appreciate your ability to make a personal comment. We try not to single out individual commissioners. I did not want to interrupt you, but I personally would respectfully disagree. I think Commissioner Smith has done a very good job of serving his community, dedicating a majority of his adult life to the community. People can disagree with his positions, but we can't disagree with his dedication to the community. That's my opinion. Our next request to speak form is Mr. Sam Hay. Mr. Hay, good morning.
Yeah, I'm Sam Hay. I live in Port Salerno. I urge you commissioners to reject Comprehensive Plan Amendment 18-10, which would further erode the comp plan protections which have until now made Martin County a special place to live. This misguided amendment would allow the reduction of shoreline protections and also allow developers to avoid water quality regulations. After the horrendous contamination of our river in recent years, which has resulted in serious damage both to the health of the population and to our economy, how can anyone even contemplate reducing water protections? The obvious reality is that we need to do all we can to enhance water quality regulations. We have well over 3,000 acres of shoreline property which may be affected by this weakening of comp plan protection. The proposed reduction of shoreline setback from 75 feet to 25 feet will inevitably result in more pavement near the waterline and more stormwater and river pollution damage. The very notion of now undercutting the production of our river is bizarre and shamelessly irresponsible. Another reason to reject CPA 18-10 is that the high-density residential and commercial development it would allow in the community redevelopment areas would result in thousands of new housing units and many thousands of new inhabitants in our county. Among other concerns I have with this is the strong likelihood of a housing glut which would diminish existing property values. Homeowners like me are well aware that property values in overdeveloped St. Lucie County are lower than in Martin County. There's a very good reason for this. Please do the right thing and reject CPA 18-10. If you commissioners approve this harmful amendment, you will abandon all pretense of being here to serve the interests of the people of Martin County instead of the short-term profit motives of special interest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next request to speak form is Eric Scher. Eric?
He was right there. I don't even know if he went to the restroom.
We'll see if he's coming back. Our next request to speak form is Donna Melzer. Ms. Melzer, good morning.
Good morning. I am Donna Melzer of Palm City, speaking for myself and Martin County Conservation Alliance. Please do not adopt Comp Plan Amendment 1810 as written. Toxic algae, climate change, and intense storms are ringing warning bells for our rivers, for the very health and safety of coastal areas. And what is offered? Paving over Martin County's charm and safety along more than 8 miles of CRA frontage on thousands of CRA acres. Your vote is about decreased shoreline protections, much higher density residential and commercial in the CRAs, paving closer to the shoreline, paving our green spaces, destroying native habitat. The shoreline impact is grave and far more serious than explained in the agenda. Will you pave over Martin County's charm and safety? If the hope is to retain the character of each CRA and improve the lives of the CRA residents, Don't take away protections for the very things that give definition to the area's charm and safety. When the rubber hits the road and residents become unhappy with the result, the fingers will point to your vote today. People's lives have been saved by mangroves growing along shorelines, but no mangroves are encouraged by 1810. Please add more protections for our shorelines, keep low density, and promote green native habitat open space in the CRAs. Stop the negative direction. Vote no. Also buried in 1810 is a change to required road studies for the entire county, including the Palm City once proposed site for Costco. The change pushes us to more South Florida congestion. Developers, including out-of-county developers, will count traffic on a slow day of the year instead of today's mandated peak days of the year to review traffic safety issues. Prioritizing traffic will be unpleasant and unsafe for our residents each and every day, and they can only blame your votes. We choose Martin County instead of moving to Browardized areas. Please do not eliminate protections. Please do not make Martin County less safe, less charming. Please vote no to 1810. Next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. at IRSC, the public is welcome to a Martin County Conservation Alliance meeting that will have handout sheets regarding these issues and to discuss Martin County's future, especially under this commission majority. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next request to speak for is Ms. Julie Bjornson. Ms. Bjornson, Dr. Bjornson, good to see you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Julie Bjornson, Stuart, Florida. Thank you. It's so good to see you all again. Okay, I'm here to talk about 9/11, which is tomorrow, and the pastor said it all. Just no more. We don't want any more attacks. But thank you. I would like to thank you all for letting me put up banners and signs at Canner and Monterey for the last about 10 years. So thank you. But this year, because of construction at this corner, I've asked the firemen to help me with the signs and get the banners out. So they're going to be carrying the signs and the banners tomorrow. They're going to do a walk at 8 to 10 in the morning and also 4 to 6 in the afternoon. So I have about 40 signs, and those are names of many locations where we've been attacked. And to me, it's important to remember 9/11. And so hopefully the firemen will continue to carry these, but we might have to consider something different. Billy Vaughn, who's actually in the audience, I was going to mention his name, a local resident, has been teaching us about the importance of knowing what's going on. He started with his book Betrayed, and now he's educating on live shooting, and we're so grateful to have him. We just have to be thankful that we are safe and our children are safe. We don't want a Parkland event, and we want Martin County to remain peaceful and beautiful. I would like to ask the board to consider designating an area for signs and banners next year for a 9/11. It doesn't have to be an event, but just a remembrance. This year, 3 more signs were added. The Pittsburgh Synagogue shooting, the Dayton, Ohio shooting, and the El Paso Walmart shooting. So we need to remain vigilant to protect our community, our environment, and our air quality. Thank you for passing the Roundup ban. I was out of town and I got it through text, and I was like, I can't believe this is so good, and I wasn't even there. So thank you so much for your support. I've been working on that for a long time, and I'm still out there restoring citrus groves, and we're up in Vero right now with Peterson's Grove, and it's coming back. I've also heard concern about we need to educate residents that this is still harmful to our environment. So I don't know how to do that yet, but we do need to get people to have some alternative. I've also heard concern about a possible sugarcane burning and air quality. I just wanted to bring to your attention that Columbia turned this residue into computer paper. And it's a product that's worldwide now. And so it's a possible solution. So thank you for continuing to look after our community. And I look forward to seeing you again and maybe having a place to have our banners and signs next year. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, very much. Our next request to speak for is Nikki Norton. Good morning and welcome.
Hi,
Hi, good morning, Chair, fellow commissioners. Nikki Norton, actually newly elected chair of the Martin County Historic Board. I've been serving 7 years, my third term. So I'm here in front of you today to look for your support. We've worked hard on rewriting the ordinance with the staff for a certified local government. What that means for us is not only we can designate residents and buildings, we can actually start identifying neighborhoods and working with the CRA and actually having historic neighborhoods in Martin County to continue the preservation that we have, which then in turn, here a second thought I have is supporting the CRAs, because without that, we wouldn't be able to move into that certified local government and then continue to have historic neighborhoods. So I would like to continue and express my support and the CRAs, and I would like to say something to Doug Smith. The Jensen Beach Playground came up and he donated our halfway point and it made an amazing difference in the Jensen Beach community for a ton of families and kids. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Did Eric come back into the room? Eric Shear? Not. I see we have one request. We have one. Is that for this? Anyone else like to speak to us before we close out the public comment portion of the meeting? Sir, please come forward. You can fill out one of the forms when you're done speaking. You did? These are, did you put specifically, are you Mark?
Yes.
You wanted to speak on departmental quasi-judicial number 1. Do you want to speak now about it or do you want to speak then about it?
No, I would like to speak now.
I apologize. Normally when I see them specific, I put them aside till the agenda item. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Mark Haller. I've lived in Martin County for a little over 20 years. I live in Hope Pines Development, and I received a certified letter from Mike Dooley. He's representing the Tradewinds project. The letter states that they want to put a road in Malaluka Way right behind our development, and they're also talking about tying us in on the backside of our development to Malaluka Way, which would connect us to US 1. Our community has been very peaceful, little to no crime. I'm speaking for some of my other owner neighbors that we would appreciate definitely not to have the connection road in the back. We would like to stay, one way in, one way out. And if we can stop the Malaluka Way Road from going through, we would appreciate that also. Because it's only 500-600 feet, I believe, from another crossroad that goes between. If we were up in the middle between Osprey and Darley Street, I could understand that, why it would have to go through. But we would very much appreciate that being rejected. So thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you coming in. Ron Rose. You were on, so you're going to switch to us.
I put down public comment.
Oh, no, it says, yeah, but then it's public hearing number 4, so.
Oh, well.
You're welcome.
Let's do it early, right?
That's right. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good morning, commissioners. For over a quarter of a century, the Jensen Beach business community has partnered with Martin County to create a vibrant downtown Jensen Beach village with the goal of sustaining our community's quaint charm while enhancing business, environment, and economy, as well as protecting our river and our quality of life. We encourage you to support the proposed improved content of Draft Chapter 18, Community Redevelopment Element of the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan, and the Draft Article 12 Redevelopment Code, Division 1 General and Division 2 Jensen Beach, and the amendments to the future land use maps and zoning atlas. These changes are good for business and our economy. And on behalf of the Jensen Beach Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, we thank you for your efforts to make these needed improvements to our CRAs. And Commissioner Smith, thank you for the outstanding work you do for our district.
Mr. Rose, thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak to us this morning during the public comment portion? Seeing none, we'll move back to the...
Bob, the sign guy.
But he's going to wait for...
Oh, okay. All right.
Correct? Sir, you're waiting for the item? Thank you. With that in mind, we'll close the public portion and we'll bring it back to the board. We'll start with you, Commissioner Hurd.
Yes, I just wanted to extend my thanks to the heads of our emergency services operation, Michelle Jones and Chief Schobel and Sheriff Snyder were the foundation of our emergency response, and we could not be in better hands. I was very, very pleased and proud with the calm and the terrific job that they did. But there was just one perplexing thing that we need to address, and that is this is the first time that Martin County has faced an emergency, a hurricane, when we didn't have local control of our hospitals. And we need to talk with the corporate people of Cleveland Clinic in order to make sure that we can rely upon their presence and participation when we have an emergency.
Commissioner Hurd, I was in touch with Mr. Lord, and he was coming from the Cleveland Clinic individuals. We don't have the control to, we expressed our concerns with what they were doing relative to the hospitals, but we don't, other than that, we don't have the ability to get engaged in their operations. That was coming purely from the top.
I know that it was, and that's my point exactly, is that this is the first time that we haven't had local control over the response of the hospital, and we need to talk to corporate and find out what they think that their responsibility is when a hurricane is headed our way.
Okay. Well, they were evacuating, I think, 14 hospitals along the East Coast. It wasn't, I think, the direction, as I was understanding it, was either the state or another entity was giving them that order through the governor's office. So we can see what we can do.
If we need to be responsible for our own emergency medical, then we're going to have to create a new unit in order to make sure that our residents are protected. I'm very concerned about our ability to respond properly.
Oh, yeah, we were concerned, too, because when they started transferring patients to Tradition and other places, we weren't sure what the impact would be to our own emergency response folks and our ambulances and what resources were going to be detained. So we can reach out and see if there's any ability for us to at least sit at the table to have those conversations.
If they're not going to be a presence in our community during an emergency, we need to figure out a way to protect our people ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a little insight into that. When we get to my comments, I'll bring it up. Commissioner Jenkins.
I want to echo Commissioner Hurd's comments on the emergency services. Spending some time in the EOC, it's very apparent we have a very well-oiled machine that is protecting us. So I want to commend everybody that was involved with that. Also, I want to commend the Operation 300, which a lot of y'all have been, the relief efforts there. It's an amazing thing. And also call out the individual citizens in this county that have taken their own personal boats over. It is an amazing thing to watch our county respond to others, and I think we've done a fabulous job. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Commissioner Hetherington.
My comments are almost identical to both Commissioner Hurd and Jenkins. As a first-time experience as a commissioner with the EOC, I was beyond impressed with how organized and methodical the operation was, and thankful as a resident of how much effort was put in and how smoothly that ran. And then I want to say, during the storm, after, it reminds me every day why I love Martin County and why I live here, because the people of Martin County are so very compassionate. You know, from volunteers during the storm helping people put up shutters that couldn't otherwise, until after our community pulling together organizations like Operation 300 and a multitude of others. collecting supplies, raising funds for our neighbors in the Bahamas. So it reminds me again every day why I love living in Martin County.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Smith.
So it's always hard to follow that sort of proceeding, but I think I will echo and duplicate a lot of that. First of all, starting with the EOC and all of our staff, the leadership from Taryn on down, to start with, does absolutely amazing stuff. You have to remember, when we're all running around, preparing for a hurricane, and thankfully everybody really did heed everybody's advice, and thank you for that, because sometimes you get complacent with storms and you watch the news and you think it's not coming, and people lay back a little bit, and this time they didn't. But while we are all out doing our thing, getting our homes ready, our staff isn't here, not in here, but at the EOC doing their thing. They are incredibly professional. They are incredibly well organized. They listen. They share ideas. Our state officials, our federal officials, all participate in the communication. When decisions are being made or need to be made, people are all kind of brought into the general conversation to kind of double check and recheck, are we doing the right thing? Are we making the right decisions? It is always an amazing thing to watch. And Taryn, thank you for your leadership, because it really does start with you in terms of keeping everything focused and organized. Because at the end of the day, it's Taryn's responsibility. Martin County falls under her leadership at all levels, and when things go wrong, we couldn't have somebody better at the head of the ship running it.
Thank you.
The following, after the storm, others have mentioned it here on the board, but I got to tell you, when Operation 300 stepped into the mix about how do we as a community respond to the absolute disaster that's happened out in the Abacos, I don't know if even if Operation 300 had any idea how much of an outpouring would turn out. For the first 3 days that I was there, it was a non-stop level of energy support from the community. It started off with moms, dads, grandparents swinging by with cars, opening up their tailgates or lift gates in their car. Everything from chainsaws to diapers to generators to food to tools to everything you could possibly imagine. The creative imagination of some of the folks involved that got together with Amazon to put together an Amazon link that you could go to the Operation 300 page and link onto Amazon and have stuff directly drop shipped to the warehouse out at the airport. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, just another really ingenious way of using technology, but also people that could be anywhere in the country at any given time could tap into Amazon if they couldn't be here locally and participate and have something drop shipped. Was absolutely stunning to watch. Tractor trailers showed up. People showed up. Hundreds and hundreds of people showed up to volunteer. I got to tell you, the guys worked pretty hard that were out there, but the women, you do not want to get in front of the women that showed up at that effort. They were an absolute machine. I just non-stop energy, smiles. No one complained. It was hot in that warehouse. Everybody was sweating, and the women that were there, they were 1,000%. And I swear, you did not want to get in the way. I mean, if they were carrying a box, get out of their way. A really special thing to watch, and Martin County should be incredibly proud of itself and its effort. If you haven't been following on Facebook, please do. Please look at the effort. Please look at what's going on out in the Bahamas. This is going to be a marathon. This is not something that will finish with this week's effort in terms of our donations. It'll be years to put that place back together out there to what it resembled prior to the storm, if it ever gets back to that, quite honestly. The Bahamas are resilient. They've been dealing with this kind of stuff for hundreds of years. And I have no doubt that they will rebuild in a way that we will all enjoy being a part of. But it is absolutely a marathon. So, in the months to come when things kind of slow down, some people aren't really necessarily paying attention, kind of reach back into your memory and remember the effort. And If there's something you can do, reach out to Operation 300. They're amazing people. They've done an amazing effort, and thank you for everything you all done out there.
Thank you, sir. A couple of points based on some of the comments from my colleagues. First off, I want to also echo the unbelievable response that our staff gave. Now, some of the folks that worked on this, the ones that were mentioned already, the heads of these departments, they're trained to do this. But there were so many other county employees that have different functions, work in growth management and engineering and public works and parks and rec. They were not necessarily at the EOC, but they were in the shelters. We had a pet-friendly shelter, which I appreciate the collaboration with the school district and members of the public that really stayed on top of that to keep that as an option. I think it's a remarkable and wonderful option. We got a lot of positive feedback on it. The special needs shelter at Anderson Middle School basically is a sort of a MASH unit hospital. The gymnasium was used for folks that needed just general additional assistance, but they had a large room that was for respiratory issues that had all of the oxygen that went through a manifold system to each of the beds. They had a cognitive unit, which was a little quieter for folks that are having some cognitive issues. There probably were 50 or 60 people in that room alone, giving them the dignity to be with family members. And the volunteers, no one was down, no one was, annoyed that they were there. It was really fantastic. Our staff took those roles. Samantha Lovelady, I thought I saw her here. She was basically the mayor of the pet-friendly shelter. She toured me around there like she was showing me her own home, and her enthusiasm and her care for the folks that were there was just infectious. And I'm just singling her out because there was dozens and dozens, if not hundreds. In regards to Commissioner Hurd's concern about the hospital, I sort of had a front row seat to that prior to the storm hitting. Ms. Krista had contacted me that there was an issue with 4 bedridden patients and 1 hospice patient, and they didn't really have those needs are beyond the special needs shelter. And I contacted Rob Lord, who's now his title is the president of Cleveland Clinic Martin, and within an hour he had figured out where to put those folks. And then there was, for people that are not familiar exactly what Commissioner Hurd was speaking of, there was a mandate. It wasn't an order. I was told after the fact. They weren't ordered. It was a strong suggestion or a mandate that they evacuate coastal hospitals from Daytona through the Palm Beaches. And when I spoke to Rob Lord about it, he said that when they were on a conference call with Tallahassee, they were given the option of deciding locally what the individual hospitals would want to do. They did evacuate Martin South. They did not evacuate Tradition or Martin North. Martin North, although it has some issues, obviously it's along the river, they have enough redundancy in place that they can continue to operate that facility even if they were to take flooding in on the first floor. Tradition is obviously a whole different story. It's brand new. They were impressed because of our relationship, or the hospital's relationship with Cleveland Clinic, that we had the ability, a location to take those patients from Martin South to Cleveland Clinic Weston. And 66 ambulances showed up, and had 66 ambulances at once, and moved seamlessly all of those patients out. Sadly, I have a neighbor who happened to be one of those patients, and they were upset and nervous to leave the hospital, obviously, but were super impressed with how the process worked. So I agree that we don't want to give up our opportunity to sort of steer the ship a little bit locally, but on the other hand, that relationship with Cleveland Clinic, because if this was a couple of years ago, we'd have Martin North and Martin South, and if we had gotten an evacuation order, we're sending them off to an unaffiliated facility somewhere else in the state, versus Cleveland Clinic's network is sort of creates an opportunity for us to move patients within the family. So now, is it perfect? Probably not. But I look at that relationship as being something that worked during the hurricane, and then non-hurricane time of year, I think the affiliation will benefit us. I have a family member in the hospital right now who's not a fan of hospitals. No one is, of being in the hospital. And so I was there yesterday, and we're so fortunate to have that facility, and I'm speaking North in particular, to have them here. Even my family member, who he said, I got to admit, it's really well done. The waits in the ER were very short. The care and the attention and the care, not just medical, but like emotional care, was remarkable. That being said, let's talk about Commissioner Smith on the hospital.
And you didn't glass over, but I think it's important to reiterate, when you talk about the relationship we have with Martin Memorial, or Cleveland Martin, that also starts at the top too, and that ability to call Rob and have that conversation, or have a conversation with Rob. You don't necessarily get to always have that sort of close connection. Rob always picks up the phone when I call for whatever the issue may be. And so I think we owe a lot of both the response, and I too had a very close friend that was moved down south. But having that relationship with Rod means a lot to our community. And so I just want to tag on that your communication with him and conversation with him is important, and it's important that we have that local connection and tie.
Thank you. Okay, now we were all very fortunate. The majority of the hurricane, nearly all of it, bypassed us. Now we're very familiar that it didn't bypass everywhere. And I think that the spirit and heart of the response for volunteers and donations was multiplied by the fact that people felt relieved that it wasn't us, and someone that our neighbors so close were decimated. Now, many of us are very familiar with Operation 300 from before Hurricane Dorian. And we're going to bring up two gentlemen to add some additional details in. But Billy Vaughn won't do it. He won't brag on his own organization, so I will. Operation 300 was born of a tragedy when Aaron Vaughn, Billy and Karen Vaughn's son, who was a Navy SEAL, was shot down. I've heard people use the word murdered. I believe the folks in that helicopter were murdered in Afghanistan many years ago. And instead of just grieving silently and privately at home, Karen and Billy and their daughters started Operation 300, and it was supposed to be a small little, hey, we're going to bring children of fallen service members into Martin County for a camp, an opportunity to learn skills that their dads might have taught them that now they're not going to. And those of us that are familiar with the organization have seen it grow and grow and grow, because it is so organized, it is so well run, their mission is very specific, and they've grown to many camps throughout the year where they bring children in from boys and girls, but also the moms, and give the moms just a break from their reality to be with other moms who are going through the same thing. And I am in love with Operation 300 even before this whole Hurricane Dorian situation started. But Steve Layton, who is a very familiar name, he works for Brian Mast. He had this concept of we need to do something, but he needed an organization to facilitate the option, and teamed up with Operation 300. Many of the commissioners here were out there on several different occasions. I want to compliment Commissioner Smith. He drove a forklift for 2 days in a row, probably 8 hours per day. Everyone was very impressed with his forklift skills, but I mean, he definitely, he didn't show up for a photo op and leave, that's for sure. And I'd ask Steve Layton and Billy Vaughn to come forward, because the staff and George Stokas and Sam out at the airport, and Sam's team out at the airport Sam Carver, have been very helpful. This operation is currently located at Hangar 3 at the airport. Ms. Krista was able to work out a short-term deal, but through the remarkable success that this effort is having, I think we need to extend it a bit. And so, first off, Billy, let me thank you. not just for this current assistance that you offer your community with the hurricane recovery in the Bahamas, but everything else that you and your family are doing. And Mr. Layton, I also want to, I know Mr. Layton likes to stand next to the podium, not at the front of the podium, but in this particular case, if you could share with us just some of the remarkable statistics so far, and then we'll give you what your request is.
So Steve's going to share that stuff with you. I'm going to share with you. I'm sorry.
Take a breath. You want to go to...
I'm going to share with you what y'all have done for us. And I think it's very appropriate that 9/11 is tomorrow. Because a lot of families' lives changed on that day forever. And then in the years that have followed, many thousands of other families. And that's, that's when Aaron went off to become a Navy SEAL after he'd been told by physicians that he could never be a Navy SEAL because of his knee. And Aaron, by the way, I don't know how to keep this in order, but let me just say that when we had our first camp, our family knew it was a risk. We had never done, in 2012, we had never done anything like this in our life. Ms. Krista's son was with us and on board, helped us get it off the ground, and it was a risk. And I told Tara the other night after Steve reached out to us to take part in this operation, I said, Tara, you need to understand, this is the greatest risk we've ever taken since our first camp. Because we have been very specific in what we've done. But Tara and I looked at our mission statement, and in our mission statement is to promote patriotism, service, and service to the community. And as someone has said, we dodged a great bullet here, and our neighbors have borne the brunt of it. And we felt we should be involved. We immediately contacted our board. They were quickly back with us. Everybody was on board. We became involved. And just let me tell you, we could never have imagined what has taken place. And my family is humbled. Our board is humbled. The way that, yes, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Campy, I'm sure some of the rest of you have been out there, and Ms. Krista has been out there many times, worked. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable the way Martin County, the surrounding counties have I said it was beyond imagination, but it should not have been, because since we started our organization, it's been the same with Martin County. We've never known what we were doing. We've made so many mistakes and learned what not to do next and learn as we go. And we've always played it that way, and the Lord has always blessed it, and the people have supported it and continue to support. And I just want to tell you something, that Aaron, a citizen of Martin County, he was a citizen of Martin County on the day that he died. And he would be very, very humbled and proud to still call this place his home. Now, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he did a lot of the things that he did because he was a Navy SEAL, but what I do know is that when he was in Coronado for years, when he was in Virginia Beach, his address was still here. His driver's license was still right here out of Martin County. And we still, believe it or not, very occasionally get a reminder that that boy grew up in our house when a piece of mail comes to Aaron Vaughn, some kind of flyer or something like that. And I just want to tell you that just as I am, my boy would be absolutely humbled and proud to be able to say that he's from Martin County, Florida. And I've said too much. That's all I'm going to say. And I just want to thank y'all and everybody in Martin County. And George, these people, these people have, they've not just let us use the facility. They've come around. They've come come in. Listen, I hadn't known what I've been doing since I unhooked the trailers out there, okay? But there have been so many people come around who do know and are professionals. Operation 300 gets the credit out of it. But Operation 300 is not our family and it's not our board. It's us. It's us. It's everybody who's out there sweating their hind ends off right now. It's all of us, and we just thank y'all and thank God for you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Layton, can you tell us some statistics? I think that was for Billy, but you might get the applause as well.
You know, it's always troubling to follow Billy Vaughn, no matter where we are or what the setting may be, because of that story he just told. So when I had this dream of putting this together, we were sitting in the middle of the EOC with many of you. And as Sheriff Snyder said the other night, when I come up with these pipe dreams, he's glad that he's not my direct supervisor anymore, and we're not working with the county budget. But in this case, it was the hearts and the souls of people not only in Martin County, but Palm Beach County, and Okeechobee, and Highlands, and St. Lucie, Captains for Clean Water on the West Coast. It just doesn't end. And so this has kind of blossomed into something that many of you have already stated that we never dreamed of. That day I had to call 3 people. I needed a building from you all, so I talked to Taryn in the EOC. I needed to let Brian know that I'm going to be busy for a little bit. And I needed to call Operation 300 to facilitate this. And nobody blinked an eye, and everybody was all on board, and we did it within hours. And we had our first carload come in within 12 hours of this idea. Many of you guys have volunteered and been there, and I thank each of you for that. But your staff, whether it's George's team or whoever, and I know many of them are watching on TV, they are the reason, in addition to our community, that we are in the position that we're in with the Bahamian government and sitting at the top of all organizations around the world to help with the relief of what's going on in those islands. We have a meeting at some point whenever the Prime Minister calls to really help move what we're doing in a long-term plan together to go meet with him, which is great, but at the same time, this idea of you bringing a package to us and it being put in the hands of somebody who needs it is still our mission. It will still be what takes place. And if you come by and you've seen our operation, we have 4 flights that just left this morning, private planes, private donations, private fuel, private time. And we're going to continue that because of what you guys are allowing us to do now, to have that foothold here, have that staying power here. And I thank you for that. Sheriff Bradshaw and his team reached out to me last night. They are going to do some form of security for our team and our community when we go over. Scotland K is stepped up to the plate to house us. Tent Logics has stepped up to the plate to provide the housing. And we are going to facilitate 40 to 50 people every 4 days to fly in, to boat in to Scotland, deliver these goods, house them, and reach out as far as Spanish all the way down to Elbow Cay. A lot of those people have left Hopetown. Billy and I spent a lot of time on the ground kind of doing this due diligence. And I can tell you that there's a lot of people that don't want to leave their home, and rightfully so. And there's a lot of people that are kind of like Billy that wouldn't leave their home. And those are the people that Billy and I saw the other day, that I can tell you, when we were going through our tragedy here, the police chief and the fire chief lost their whole home. They're leaving their community until unknown time. So the community here has really stepped up, and we're going to bring them over there, and we're going to rebuild what we can to some degree. That's not our mission. We're just there to help facilitate their lives back. And we're committed to that Operation 300 for the 12-month period, if longer. Many people have stepped up, such as Coulter Homes and others, to really be a long-term partner. And what you guys are going to do today, we're very appreciative of. I'm very thankful to reach out to you all and get the support I did within a few hours. And you have my commitment, and you have the board's commitment. And again, the airport, and that whole staff, I'm not a pilot. It's my brother's gig. I hate flying, to be quite honest with you. We've been flying in the smallest of planes, the biggest of planes, and it does not matter. But they're first class, and you guys are too. And so on behalf of everybody that's sitting there this morning, there's about 18 people over there. And I'll leave you with this story. There's a nuclear engineer, to some degree, that took last week off. And he said, I was going away on vacation. And I saw what you guys were doing on social media. And I decided to stay here. And he's been in our warehouse every day and shuts the doors. And last night he left Billy and I. And he said, I'm going to transition. I'm going to hire somebody to come in part-time to work for me half a day so I can still come into your warehouse. And he reached in his pocket and he took out all the cash he had in his pocket, which was about $100, and put it in our bin. That's the kind of people who are making this happen. So thank each of you. Thank your staff. Thank the community. I want to thank Tara, Billy, and his mama Karen, and Brian and you all. So.
Couple questions for you, sir. Can you give us some statistics on what you've moved through there thus far? I think the numbers are staggering.
So again, in addition to the airport staff, I don't know where you get the weigh station or scales. I mean, you guys have brought everything over. We estimated about 6.4 million pounds are sitting in that warehouse, or have been. There could be more. We're talking Tuesday or Wednesday. No, today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. So as of Friday, that was the number. Brian got a FedEx plane to come in, and so we're moving a whole FedEx cargo of water today or tomorrow. That's going to go to Nassau. They have moved a lot of people off our islands into Nassau. So I don't know what that weight is, but we have about 18 pallets of water, 18 semi-loads of water sitting there. And we have put on the ground, just in Old Bahama Bay, roughly 40 tons of product. And we have a couple tons sitting in Scotland. We have it placed in strategic places so we can keep leapfrogging it. And the boating community came to me last night, Mr. Bagwell, Mr. Armelini, and a number of others. And they're putting a contingency together of center consoles that will continue to run supplies and our people back and forth for as long as this mission runs. So the product that comes in the millions.
If people want to volunteer or donate, what should they do?
So we've set up a number of things, and I don't know which of you mentioned it. Nowadays, we all shop differently. And so we set up the Amazon shopping list. I think it's under a wedding registry right now. But, it's all been unique in how we put this together. And so you can donate online. You can donate at any of the local banks, Seacoast, Centerstate, Bank of America. They have all come online with us. So you can shop from wherever you are in the country or the world. You can pay wherever you are in the world. You can drop stuff off. If it was up to me, we'd have the doors open all the time. So the board has kind of cut that back. 3 to 6 in the afternoons, and this weekend we'll ramp back up to really help orchestrate what we have over there. You've seen it. We weigh it, we wrap it, we package it, we separate it. It's kind of like Walmart to some degree. But I would ask everybody to continue to bring those things. We're a long-term mission, and I would ask you to continue to donate, because I can tell you renting barges and renting these cargo planes is not cheap, and we're running out of friends that are doing this for free.
Thank you. What don't you need? Because I know that there was some concern. People were bringing a lot of donations in glass jars. You don't want glass jars, and you're not taking any more big bags of clothing from people. It's just too much stuff, correct?
Correct. So when you drop off a box of items, just to put it in perspective of everybody listening and watching, no matter what's in that or what's in the prime box, we have to break everything down, and then we sort it into its category, and then we take that and we palletize that based on hand wipes or paper towels or diapers or canned goods, and then we go weigh it, and then we separate it out based on the plane load or the boat load that can go over. So keep that in mind as you're putting a package together for this, that if it's all green beans, put all green beans in. We want everything that you can give. If you're not sure, donate the money. And clothing, diapers. We reconfigured the list last night to go into equipment mode for our volunteers over there to purchase. So if you haven't seen us and you haven't come by, please do. And we'll continue to update on social media of our needs. Everything's very fluid.
What's the social media sites or the website?
Operation 300.
Facebook page?
Same. Yeah.
The reason you're here this morning is we've been utilizing, Ms. Krista put together a short-term, you've been using Hangar 3, but we're looking, I'll entertain a motion that would allow Ms. Krista to enter into an agreement with Mr. Layton, Operation 300, to allow them a short-term arrangement.
We were talking 90 days, Steve, still, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, for now.
That would also transfer the responsibility of the facility to Operation 300 from an insurance point of view, liability point of view. I mean, we're still going to be participating, but then it becomes a little more of a structured deal. We had to do that deal prior to a commission meeting. Commissioner Smith.
I would move that we direct our staff to formalize that agreement for 90 days, and whatever clause needs to be looked at at the end of 90 days, it opens it up for another. If we need to, we can extend it.
Thank you.
My pleasure to second that, too.
Thank you very much. Any questions on that from my colleagues? Any members of the public looking to speak to us on this prior to the vote? We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, as stated, seconded by Commissioner Hetherington. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, one of my biggest concerns is getting rid of the rubble. The debris is just astonishing, where it's going to go, how it's going to go there. What are the critical big-ticket items that you really need? Martin County is a generous place. Don't be shy about asking for
I'm never
for
shy.
big donations.
I asked Brian if he could get an aircraft carrier off the coast, and he gave us the Coast Guard. You know, in walking around Man o' War in Scotland and Hopetown, hands on the ground with literally shears and backpack blowers to kind of open and push things away, so things can start to move. You know, golf carts and ways to move things on around the island. I think I plugged 5 golf carts and 20 holes of nails. So it's going to be very difficult to move things on those little islands for a number of weeks until we get new tires for the golf carts, additional golf carts that can have payloads. Skid steers and things of that nature definitely need to come over. And we have weather coming in tomorrow night all the way through the weekend, and it kind of completely put a hold on everything that we have been putting together the last 24 hours. So we're kind of regrouping on that. If people want to donate a day on the barge, those big ticket items are what's needed. Rental of equipment. We have a number from United to Synergy, all those big rental companies are standing by to help us on this. But just breaking up those little cart paths, cleaning up, moving trees off the houses, that's what's needed right now. But paying for that payload to get over there and those barges is the big ticket item that we're facing right now, Commissioner.
And also, if you're going to be talking to the Prime Minister, absolutely emphasize the need to suspend customs and to suspend duties. Good heavens. People are being so generous about donating things, and if you slap a 60% duty and VAT on it, then people's generosity gets exhausted.
I had that conversation with his Deputy Prime Minister. They were very fortunate. We have 2 of their customs facility officers here at Witham Field right now, which is helping getting people back and forth with no issue and kind of to some degree. But you're exactly right. They got to open that up. The hearts are giving right now, and I think they are starting to understand that.
Commissioner Smith.
Not that you haven't thought about it. The big debris removal companies, has anybody been in contact with them?
They are in and of the islands right now.
So that has already started?
Yes, sir.
Because as I've been processing, like everybody is processing what to do next, I mean, you need tub grinders, you need like big stuff.
In a unique way.
In a unique way.
Yes, sir.
And so that's in motion?
When we were in Nassau 3 days ago, meeting with the Minister of Health, he advised that all of those are on the island in some form or fashion to do things.
And I think you answered it, but I'm just curious. So have they meaning the Bahamian government, have they opened up and reached out enough that whatever we can give them, they'll open up to, or are we still?
So I think they are also drinking from a fire hose as far as help coming in. We were very fortunate through some contacts to get in as one of a few organizations that they know that we can facilitate what we say we're going to do. And so I think they're trying to vet a lot of those things out to figure out what they can do. They're really focused on bringing people from those islands, even though they want to live there, such as Foxtown, and getting them out and evacuating them. So that is still going on today. Our partners at Witham Field have 2 Blackhawks. We gave them some supplies. They dropped them off in Foxtown. They said that we're not going anywhere, but I can tell you that, with this storm that's coming through this weekend, it's just going to continue to damper and put things on hold. So I think educating those people that, look, we'll open your community and your home back up soon enough. Just get out for a little while, let those contractors come in and clean up like they should. And I think that story has to be told from a different perspective other than the Bahamian government. And I don't know what that is, and I don't know who that person is, but I think after this rain event this weekend, hopefully people will understand that they may need to take a little time away from their place and regroup. There's a tremendous amount of assets going into Nassau. And I can tell you there's a tremendous amount of assets leaving this community to go there. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, keep up the excellent work. I would also like to say that beyond what Operation 300 is, they're working at a very, very large scale. There are several other smaller organizations within our community that are also involved in collecting and facilitating the logistics involved in getting some additional support to the Bahamas. So Operation 300 is the one we were discussing, but I know Stewart Jet Center and other organizations were doing the same thing. So if this is not for you, reach out. I'm sure your church or the Red Cross, there's a lot of different ways you can assist. Let's do the consent pull, and then we'll take our 10:30 break. The consent pull was...
And as she's sitting down, I would like to introduce, if you don't already know, Christy Bretherington. She's our purchasing manager, replacing Ms. Carey, who retired, so go easy on her. This is her first.
Well, before we begin the item, why don't, you're a familiar face to many of us, but why don't you give us a little bit of brief background, what you were doing for the county prior to you getting this position?
I have been with Martin County, it'll be 13 years next month. I started out in Public Works as an admin, worked my way up. My most recent job before this was the construction contracts and grants administrator. I handled all the capital projects, a lot of DOT, federal and state grants. Went into a little bit of FEMA grants. We went to DEP grants, all sorts of fun stuff. So
Went back to school while you were
Went back to
working
school,
here?
yep. And I did a lot of bids and contracts with Nicole, so I'm very familiar with that. So.
Well, we're glad for you to be in this new position. Obviously, your resume warrants you getting it. Ms. Carey left you large shoes to fill, but I think you'll do a remarkable job. And where do you live?
Palm City.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic, I thought so. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So it's your first time. We're throwing you, you've been in the frying pan for just a moment now. Jump right into the fire.
So we are here today to discuss Amendment 1, Map Road Town Center Design Contract for CapTech Engineering. The request is for an additional $203,920 in design funds. I have Susan Kors from Office of Community Development, George Zama, to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd, you pulled this?
I did. So the original contract for design was $180,000, and this is a request for an additional $203,000 for a project that's total is $3.8 million. My experience with projects is that design is a percentage generally of construction, which tells me that the construction price is going to, what's it going to do, double? What kind of changes are proposed? There is debt service of $1.7 million. What are the repayment terms? What's the source of funding? And what do you anticipate that, I mean, that's a more than doubling the amount of design work. So what can we expect to see as the price of the project?
Want to go? You want me to?
I'll just dive right in.
All right.
George Zama, Capital Projects Manager. So we're working with the CRA on this project, and from what started out as a simple corridor streetscaping project has magnified in complexity, obviously, with what you're seeing in this change order. But with the complexities, we've had a few changes in scope on the roadway side, from roundabouts to some intersection modifications that have changed, but more importantly is the drainage. And the drainage, what started out in just the corridor, it's also in the surrounding areas, or the basin, if you will. There's major complexities and sensitivities with Old Palm City. So to the north end of the project area, you have drainage that flows through the corridor. And you know, we've converged not only this project, but we also have the Ripple project that's coming down the pike, which is a stormwater project.
Stormwater water quality.
Stormwater quality project, Art Echo project to the north area, as well as the neighborhood restoration project, which we're trying to resolve all the drainage problems in the area. And this project, what we found out, needs a separate trunk line of drainage through Old Palm City for it to work. So it's something that we've discovered throughout the design process. We want to make sure it gets done right, and that's where we're at with the project. As far as the funding, it is the debt service. We do have, I believe there was authorization to move some other funds in the order of, do you remember what it was, Don? Was it?
We have debt service for this project, including, we also have TIF for this project that will be going towards the total. And
So
that's how that will be paid.
The total before this proposition was $3.8 million, which included $180,000 for design. Now you're asking for another $203,000. What's the project? What's the increase in the project's cost? Have you done any estimates whatsoever?
Yeah, it's going to be a little over $4 million when it's all said and done, which, you know, as far as a percentage, those percentages have been going up. If you look at Bridge Road and some of our other roadway projects, it's in the order of 12, 13% and rising. This project, even with this design costs added, we're still under 10%. So I don't know if the consultant's here. We don't hear that. But,
So you're anticipating that the construction costs aren't going to go up dramatically, even though the design costs have more than doubled?
Well, it's gone up, not dramatically, no. But in the grand scheme, we're well within range of that.
Don Donaldson, Deputy County Administrator. Just wanted to point out that part of this design change, and of course, I was part of requesting that they ensure that we tied into it. We have the Old Palm City septic to sewer project, which is coming in, and as part of that, there's neighborhood revitalization efforts that engineering is currently in design on. We had several projects precedent to this, water quality projects in the old Skeleton Pond. We had other projects closer to Indian Street, or the Veterans Memorial Bridge project, and the recent pond that was developed. They had separate models for each one, integrating and having different predictions on how they're going to work. We asked CapTech to make sure that they all integrated and talked to one another properly. That required some additional design changes. A lot of this is also anticipation of design work that will be used downstream and upstream of this project that won't be built with the Map Road project, but will lead to the designs of these other projects. So some of this engineering cost is not directly only to the Map Road corridor, but it's assisting the other neighborhood projects that are to come. So when we invest these millions of dollars on Map Road, what we don't want to have happen is that the drainage to be the same as it was when they started, because as we know, there's a lot of substandard drainage and water quality components in Palm City now. We want, when we leave this project, to have it significantly better to account for what's there now, what's going to come, and for the septic to sewer project to all plug into.
I presume that the project is going to include additional sidewalks, additional bike lanes, additional roundabouts, additional impervious surfaces.
No roundabout.
You're correct on most of those elements, Commissioner. There will be no roundabouts. Instead, there will be enhanced crosswalks. But yes, there will be generous sidewalks, landscaping, enhanced lighting, all of those things that make a beautiful roadway.
So are the additional impervious areas contributing to the need for enhanced stormwater treatment?
They did, but that was small in comparison to the stormwater treatment required for the surrounding neighborhood, which the large part of the lake that was constructed recently. Getting the water to that treatment area was part of this design, and looking downstream at the Ripple project and the others are also part of this. So it's really to try to look at it not only in the corridor, but the entire basin, as Mr. Zamas pointed out.
And what's the source of funding for debt service?
That would be TIF through Palm City CRA.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Smith.
So we've been working on this for a very long time, and we've had starts and stops over the years. Does this 200,000 get us to a point where, so in a percentage, where does this get us? Are we 50% of the way? Are we 70% of the way for Old Palm City and Map?
Finish line.
Finish line. So the Ripple project and the continuing projects following on, they will tie into this, correct?
Correct.
And all those things combined will take care of water, sewer, drainage, flooding, and water quality for Old Palm City.
Yes, the only caveat is there is a few homes that are just above the storm surge elevation or even below it. So those things we can't stop when the river comes over. But for all of the rain-driven events, yes, it takes care of it all.
And so, and I know this seems like an obvious question, but all of this is in the CRA, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Correct.
And so, timeline, a year?
We're looking at 30 to 60 days from notice to proceed from this amendment to have 100% design, and then we can go out to bid.
Okay, and then from bid to construction, so generally, what are we looking at for completion of the overall project? A year, 2 years?
Don't say 2 years. Do not say 2 years.
18 months?
I believe we're anticipating around 10 to 11 month timeline, so we could say about a year.
The reason kind of for the comments or the questions really on it is putting the CRA program into perspective. We have spent years getting to a point to where these kind of projects are actually maturing to a point where we can actually go into an entire basin and neighborhood and fix it. There are questions in the community from time to time on water quality and what are we doing to improve it. They're not easy. They're incredibly complicated. You're going into neighborhoods that are basically flat and feet above sea level, not much more than that. And I think it's remarkable what you're all doing. I mean, you know, there are folks that have a different opinion about the CRA program, but at the end of the day, it takes a lot of coordination, a lot of effort to make these things happen. And I know through the years, the residents in Old Palm City have been begging for this to get done, because when we do have flooding problems, we have water issues, they're one of the first to notice it. And so I can't wait for this to happen, and hopefully the bids get out as quickly as possible and we get going as quickly as possible. Do you want a motion?
Yes, please.
I'd move approval.
Second it.
Thank you very much. I will just say that when this item came up, I did meet with staff, and I also had concerns both for the optics of, and then why are we spending the additional money? I was satisfied with the responses I received from staff, being familiar with this area. We are trying to really handle a lot of very complicated drainage and water quality issues in a narrow passage with the river on one side, a lot of historic low homes that have been there for many years. Ms. Brotherington, if I'm not mistaken, you live in this neighborhood, don't you? So you know exactly what we're talking about. There were a lot of infill lots available through east of Map and west of the river, south of Martin Downs and north of the Veterans Memorial Bridge, that area right there. Quite often we hear from residents that have older historic homes that when they build one next to it, the elevations have changed, so it's a complicated process. So I'm not a big fan of doubling what we had originally allocated for services, but I think in this particular case, having a front row seat to it, I think it's necessary and appropriate. So I appreciate the motion by Commissioner Smith for staff's recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Heatherington. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do, colleagues, is I know that we have a businessman here who wanted to discuss public hearing number 3. Number 1 and number 2 are staff. So I'd like to go to public hearing number 3. We'll be here. It's going to be quick, I promise. But, sir, while you're waiting here, I understand that you'd like to probably get back to work. So we're going to hear that item so that you can make your public comment before items that involve exclusively county.
Signs. We need Mr. Arthur down here. You can go ahead and open it up if you want, Sarah. Mr. Arthur, I'm sure we'll see.
I'll read it out. I'll announce it. Public hearing number 3, public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Article 4, Division 16, Signs, Land Development Regulations, Martin County Code. It'll be presented by someone who most likely will show up out of breath. But in the meantime, Ms. Woods, if you would just start it off. I apologize, but I try to accommodate members of the public whenever I can.
Our office submits this is Sarah Woods, Martin County Attorney for the record. We submit the proposed amendment to the Martin County Side Ordinance for your consideration. The proposed amendments were requested by staff for the purpose of correcting, enhancing, and improving the sign ordinance in a content-neutral manner.
Can you go down a little bit? You know.
Not letting me. Wait a minute.
You pull it up.
That's what I'm trying
She's
to do.
going to go down.
Is it 4?
TH3. Donna's down there. She can move it along. Thank you, Donna.
All right. The sign ordinance is found in Martin County Code, Volume 2, Land Development Regulations, Article 4, Site Development Standards, Division 16, Section 4.691 through 4.730. The Board of County Commissioners enacted the sign ordinance, the revised sign ordinance on June 19th. Sorry.
That's all right.
Mine won't come up.
No, you keep going up. No, the other way. Oh, you went all the way back. Well, essentially, I know we met yesterday with David Arthur, and the staff had asked the legal department to look at this because there were some inconsistencies that needed to be addressed.
Correct. And all of this revision of the sign ordinance was brought about by the Supreme Court case in 2015, which required all signage to be content neutral. So this sign ordinance was brought for the board's initial consideration this past June to in part mimic the City of Stewart's content-neutral sign ordinance as was suggested by the board. In the course of doing it, we found some mistakes. David Arthur, probably not mistakes, but some other changes that needed to be done to.
Clearly, I made a mistake not coming down early.
No, you didn't know.
Let me just say, I
You're
apologize.
going to take a break, but that's okay.
I was going to take a break, but I look out in the audience and we have a couple of public, at least one public request to speak for him. And in my mind, I'm thinking I want to accommodate that person, forgetting that I should also be accommodating you.
No, don't have to accommodate me.
Or at least
happy to
affording
come
you the
early.
option of racing down here.
No problem at all.
I apologize.
No apology necessary.
Mr. Arthur will now, David, I just introduced the item, and we were going to briefly do a background of where the changes are and where they were just Scrivener's, mostly correct, Scrivener's errors and errors to make the sign ordinance internally consistent.
Right. I didn't hear what you said, but I'm sure you covered the background.
She went through
Just the background, just to say that in the course, staff had asked for some
Right.
changes, and then I'll throw it to you to outline the changes.
Right. They're all content-neutral changes, as I'm sure you all remember. Last year in June, you all passed a content-neutral sign ordinance that's in compliance now with the United States Supreme Court decisions on the subject. So the changes are primarily just making it consistent with past practices that were content-neutral, and also to tweak it here and there, because when the staff started implementing it, they noticed there were certain things they prefer to have changed. And so we work with them. And so this is the finished product.
Okay, questions of staff from my colleagues. Commissioner Hurd?
Yeah, I'm in section B, freestanding signs, and there are 7 new factors to be considered. It seems to me they're pretty big.
Those are the
300 square feet.
Yes, Commissioner, that is correct. That's consistent with what the old ordinance had. That was content neutral, and staff requested that the old practice be reinstated
Why?
to be consistent with past practices. And from their perspective, it makes more sense to keep it that way since it was content neutral to begin with.
So we think that a freestanding sign that's 25 feet high and 300 square feet in area is a good idea?
Yes, it's consistent with past practice.
We already have them in place.
Correct.
That's part of the issue, is not having to enforce a change in the ordinance and know who was grandfathered in and who wasn't. And you also worked with some sign individuals on this?
Yes, Bob Gerlach of Flamingo Signs helped
Right
out.
behind you.
Yes.
He's coming up next.
Okay.
I'm just concerned that if the justification is this is the way that we've done it in the past, therefore we're going to continue doing it in the future, when we have an opportunity to craft a better ordinance, why we instead didn't try to craft a better ordinance.
I think the reason staff wanted to do it this way is because the feedback they got from people like Bob Gerlach, who's here, was that this would be a better way to do it since it's already been the practice of the county for decades.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect segue. Sir, if you could come forward, Mr. Gerlach. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Bob.
So I just want to take a moment and voice my support of the code. So one thing you were asking about is why this was put in. So when the code was revised, there were things that were left out. This was one of the things that was left out, is a whole section was not in the code, so we had nothing to go by on what the allowable signs were. So I've been here in Martin County doing signs for 30 years. The code has always worked very well. We do signs all over the state, mostly Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie County, but the code has always worked very well. There's some places that go in and make restrictions to businesses, which is a detriment to the business. So I spent a lot of time working with Mr. Arthur to make sure that everything that we're going back and trying to fix that was left out, or definitions or something like that, was what was best for not only the county but the businesses in the county. And we've never had a problem with the code for the 30 years I've been doing it. It's always worked well. As you can see throughout the county, we're not Vegas. Everything that we have presents business as well, and I think it works very well. So that's why it was my recommendation to make these changes and have it in there. So, and I wanted, if anybody has any questions about it, I was here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd, any other questions for? I have a couple. I appreciate it. I don't look at it as that's how we did it in the past and it was wrong, so we're circling back to it. I know in my own experience when I've taken storefronts and tried to craft signage for my own businesses in the past, to understand that there were these new set of circumstances that I had to abide by, but my next door neighbors whose signs had already been there had larger signs and lit and all these other prerequisites that I was now facing that they were not facing. And it does create confusion. It does, I believe, at the time as a small business owner, hampered my ability to promote my business when someone who was only 3 doors down from me had a gigantic sign because it was older. And I'm a new business coming to town trying to do, the right thing, but mine was going to be minute. And so then it's, and they're lost when you notice. I think that, like you said, and I'm glad you had come. What company are you with, sir?
Flamingo Signs.
I didn't hear what you said. Say it again.
Flamingo Signs.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
And with that in mind, I think that if we had moved away from something that was working, and you as a professional of 30 years experience across the Treasure Coast, you live it every single day. This is an item, and I appreciate Mr. Arthur and our staff, so it's legally appropriate, it's professionally appropriate, that's what you're telling us. I will give it my full support. Any other questions for Mr. Arthur or our sign expert from Flamingo Signs to us, right?
That is correct, Flamingo Signs.
Thank you. Commissioner Heatherington.
I'll move approval.
That's a good sign. You got a motion and a second.
Ask for any more public?
Yes, any other members of the public looking to address us on this topic, except for the gentleman from Flamingo Signs?
And who was your first sign 30 years ago?
Jenkins Landscape.
So Commissioner Jenkins will be recusing himself. That's nice. That's good. Hey, you're entitled. With that in mind, we have a motion by Commissioner Commissioner Heatherington, seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
The motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting. Thank you.
Thank you for your,
Let's take our 10:30 break. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
you did a lot of work.
Okay, we are back from our mid-morning closed captioning break to hear public hearing number 1. It is September 10th, 2019. Public hearing number 1 is a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Division 13 of Article 4 of Martin County's Land Development Regulations regarding historic preservation. It'll be presented this morning by Ms. Elizabeth Lanahan and Mr. George Stokas. You are both recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. George Stokas, Assistant County Administrator. I live in Stewart, District 2. 2019, the Historic Preservation Board made one of its strategic goals to become a certified local government by the Division of Historical Resources. That was done in order to make us more eligible for grants through the state as well as the nationwide process. In addition to adding criteria to becoming a certified local government, the amendments include additional clarifications, definitions, designation procedures, review criteria, and certificates of appropriateness, a process by which makes the changes to the proposed work have been approved. And that is all attached to your public hearing agenda item. Also to note, on June 10, 2019, the Historic Preservation Board unanimously recommended these changes to the ordinance, as well as on August 15th, this item was presented to the local planning agency, who also unanimously recommended approval of its proposed ordinance. And rather than walking you through each identified change, staff is asking for the board to adopt this proposed ordinance, and we're more than happy to answer any specific questions, comments, or concerns.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from Ms. Lanahan?
Not at this time.
Ms. Lanahan, where are you from? Where do you live?
Home City.
Oh, that's right. Fantastic. Commissioner Smith.
You know, they all looked at Jensen first. I would move staff's recommendation pending any public comment.
Questions from my colleagues for staff? Any members of the public looking to address us on this topic? Seeing none, we come back. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith for staff's recommendation of approval.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item, public hearing number 2, approve the State Housing Initiative Partnership Program, otherwise known as SHIP. Reports and transmittal to the state. It'll be presented this morning by Ms. Michelle Miller and Ms. Dawn Cobb. Before we begin, Ms. Miller, allow me to wish you a very happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for sharing your special day with us here at the Commission.
Thank you.
Would you like a song?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Just let you know, I did not say anything.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dawn Cobb with Martin County Health and Human Services. I live in Hope Sound.
Finally.
And we're here to present the State Housing Initiative Partnership Program, SHIP, Annual Report 2016-17, 17-18, 18-19. Per state statute, this needs to go to Florida Housing by September 15th. Currently, we have all our funds encumbered. However, due to contractors being they have more demand than they can handle right now, our funds have not completely been expended yet. So this will come back to you when all the funds are expended, but it does have to get sent to the state by the September 15th.
Fantastic. Commissioner Smith.
Move approval.
Second it.
Thank you. Ms. Vitale, you getting all this? There's a lot of whispering going on. Are you close enough to hear the whispers?
I thought I heard 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'll decide which one's going to get that. Any questions from my colleagues for staff? Seeing none, anyone from the public looking to address us on this topic? Also seeing none. We have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Hetherington, for staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Ms. Miller.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take the rest of the day off. No, I'm only kidding. Only kidding. Aaron says you can't. I would have let you. Our next agenda item is public hearing number 4. Legislative public hearing to consider adoption of Comprehensive Plan Amendment 18-10 CRA text amendments. It'll be presented this morning by Ms. Irene Settlemyer. Ms. Settlemyer, where are you from?
Outside Philadelphia.
No, where? That's quite a commute.
I kayak each morning.
Fantastic.
I live in Fort Pierce.
Okay.
In a community redevelopment area.
All right. Very well, staff. Yes?
So
Mr.
outside
Doolan.
of Philadelphia, is that like South Jersey, or were you?
Outside of Philadelphia, born and raised?
People say when they're outside of Philadelphia.
Well, I lived in several areas, but yes, I lived in Millville, home of Wheat.
Okay, thank you. You can save that for later. I was trying to make Fresh Prince of Bel-Air references, and you missed them. Mr. Doolan.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Clyde Doolin. I'm the Comprehensive Planning Administrator. And I wanted to make a couple of comments before Ms. Settlemeyer's presentation, but I don't want to get ahead of you introducing the item.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The item is, which I've already announced, not quasi-judicial. And, sir, our jovial intro is over. You can bring us back to the matter at hand.
Thank you, members of the board. We've received some additional public comment over the weekend, and as is staff practice, the public comment has been placed on the dais for your review and consideration. This is the third public hearing. It is the last of 3 public hearings required for plan amendments. It is also the last of 18 public presentations that have been made to inform the public about Chapter 18. Much of the text already exists in the plan. It pulls together existing policies about the community redevelopment areas and places them in one location, Chapter 18. It does provide an alternative means for open space, upland habitat preservation, and shoreline protection in our core urban areas. It does not increase density, increase the 4-story height limit, or negate water quality protection. This chapter is a chapter of the comprehensive plan and should not be confused with proposed changes to the land development regulations that can be more restrictive than the plan policies being considered at this public hearing. Those LDR policies will be presented to you, I believe, on September 24th for your consideration. And with that, I will let Ms. Settlemeyer proceed with her presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Ms. Settlemeyer, you are recognized.
For the record, Irene Settlemeyer, Senior Planner with the Growth Management Department. Good morning, Commissioners. So my intent today is to summarize key aspects of Chapter 18, the proposed community redevelopment element of the comp plan, and other materials in the agenda packet, and then to answer any questions you may have or review any specific policies or objectives in more detail at your request or direction. You know, as you know, this proposal was transmitted to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and numerous other state and regional reviewing agencies, and none had any comment regarding regional or state resources. So, Goal 18.2 addresses future land use designations. And the goal is to facilitate the revitalization, restoration, and strengthening of the CRA town centers and neighborhoods by establishing future land use designations that allow and encourage a compact, walkable, small-town urban form. So one of the substantive aspects of CPA 1810 is the creation of 2 new future land use designations, CRA Center and CRA Neighborhood. The CRA Center and the CRA Neighborhood future land use designations will replace the mixed-use future land use overlay and the underlying general commercial, limited commercial, commercial office residential future land use designations, as well as high density, medium density, low density, estate density, and mobile home density future land use designations. The industrial future land use designation, the marine waterfront commercial future land use designation, conservation, public recreation, and general institutional future land use designations will be retained in the CRA. The future land use map will be amended 1 CRA at a time to apply the CRA Center and CRA Neighborhood future land use designations. The boundaries of the CRA Center generally will follow the boundaries of the existing mixed-use future land use overlay. CRA Center is designed to facilitate the achievement of a mix of uses within walking distance of each other and will allow commercial development, residential development, or mixed-use development. Maximum residential density remains up to 15 units an acre, as permitted currently for mixed-use projects in the mixed-use overlay. So currently, comp plan policy allows dwelling units that are 800 square feet or less to count as half a unit if they're part of a mixed-use project in the mixed-use overlay and are on parcels of less than half an acre. Chapter 18 expands eligibility for that policy to parcels that are 1 acre or less, and by removing the requirement that they be part of a mixed-use project. Current policy exempts mixed-use projects in the mixed-use overlay from density transition. Chapter 18 expands this policy to all residential development in the CRA. The CRA neighborhood future land use designation will apply to the predominantly residential neighborhoods outside of the CRA center. The objective is to maintain the primacy of the residential uses while allowing a mix of residential types. The maximum residential density is 10 dwelling units per acre, or as further limited in the land development regulations. 10 units per acre is the density that's permitted on medium-density future land use designation for workforce housing, as the comp plan is currently written. So goal 18.5 provides for alternative means of compliance for open space, upland habitat preservation, and shoreline protection. Objective 15.A is to facilitate the attainment of a coordinated system of public open space and recreation areas within the CRAs. That's been a policy for the CRAs since they were established. As you know, the current policy, the comp plan currently provides special policies regarding open space within the CRAs. Chapter 18 allows projects on sites less than a half an acre to meet the open space requirement with a payment of cash contribution in lieu of on-site open space or the provision of open space on another site. Current policy does not limit the size of the site that can use alternative compliance to meet its open space requirement. So by limiting the policy to sites less than half an acre, Chapter 18 is more restrictive. Objective 18.5B is to facilitate compact, walkable urban development in the CRAs. Let me get there. While advancing the county goal to preserve no less than 25% of native upland habitat. Again, as you know, current comp plan policy provides for alternative compliance with native upland habitat preservation within the CRAs. The proposed native upland habitat preservation policy for the CRAs is different from the existing policy in somewhat minor ways. It is stricter in some ways, and it provides greater flexibility in other ways. So for example, the current policy requires that there be no special habitat on site. Well, Chapter 18 policy requires that there be no plants or wildlife listed as endangered, threatened, or of special concern. Current policy places no limit on the amount of native upland habitat that can be provided off-site. Chapter 18 provides that if the required preserve area equals or exceeds 1 acre, alternative compliance is not available. Chapter 18 is more flexible than current policy in that cash payments can be made in lieu of habitat preservation, and the off-site habitat can be located anywhere in Martin County. So objective Objective 18.5C is to facilitate infill development and redevelopment in the CRAs, provide public access to the waterfront, preserve shoreline mangroves, protect shoreline stability, and reduce non-point source water pollution entering the Indian River Lagoon, St. Lucie River, Willoughby Creek, and Manatee Pocket. You know, based on the public comment that we heard this morning and some of the public comment that came in over the weekend, it seems to me that there may be some misunderstanding about what this policy, the extent of its reach and what it actually provides. So the policy provides or establishes a uniform 25-foot shoreline protection zone to land within the CRAs, within the CRA mixed-use future land use overlay, or with the CRA Center or Marine Commercial Future Land Use designation. The policy covers 58 parcels in the Rio, Jensen Beach, and Port Salerno CRAs, which is equal to about 1.2% of waterfront parcels in Martin County. Of Martin County's 135 miles of shoreline, this policy affects less than 3 miles in the urbanized core of our historic waterfront communities. While comp plan policy establishes a 75-foot shoreline protection zone, current comp plan policy also recognizes many exceptions to that shoreline protection, to that 75-foot shoreline protection zone. And the exceptions are based on the size of the lot, when the lot was created, whether the shoreline is hardened or natural, and whether it is a commercial marina. So of the 58 parcels that are subject of this policy, 85% of those already are subject to a 25-foot shoreline protection zone. There are just 8 or 9 parcels which will have a reduced shoreline protection zone as a result of the policy. Additionally, of the 58 parcels, 72% already have hardened shorelines. They are not natural shorelines. And within the 58 too much detail. Assuming all 58 parcels take advantage of the policy and increase impervious surfaces to the full extent allowed by the proposed shoreline protection zone policies, there'll be an additional 2 acres which will be developed or impervious. The revised shoreline protection zone policies for the urbanized core of the CRAs does not affect the protection of wetlands, the protection of mangroves, the protection of seagrass beds. It does not modify any policy regarding the hardening of a natural shoreline. Further, any development pursuant to this policy will be required to install a living shoreline, if feasible, or provide other mitigation to help improve water quality. Any new development must also address the quality and quantity of stormwater runoff. Lastly, Chapter 18 establishes here, policy 18.5D1, establishes the CRAs as transportation concurrency exception areas. As you may know, the transportation concurrency is no longer required by state statute. Martin County has chosen to retain it, but the transportation element in the comprehensive plan at policy 5.1B6 has long provided that Martin County shall consider establishing transportation concurrency exception areas. Designation of the CRAs as transportation concurrency exception areas provides a real incentive to invest in these areas, but more importantly, the policy recognized that there is little to no desire to add lanes to some of the collectors and arterials that traverse the CRAs. For example, A1A through Port Salerno, Bridge Road through Hobe Sound, Map Road through Old Palm City, Indian River Drive, or Jensen Beach Boulevard through Jensen Beach, or State Route 707 through Rio. The policy also recognizes increased pedestrian and bicycle accommodations and improved public transit are important transportation aims for the CRAs. So CPA 18-10, the CRA text amendments, also makes edits to several other chapters, chapters 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 13, and 14, to to maintain consistency with the policies promulgated or modified by Chapter 18. I will only go through those if requested or directed by the board. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions or review anything in more detail. Thank you.
Ms. Settlemyer, thank you very much. Questions from my colleagues before public comment for staff? Commissioner Heatherington.
Just a point of clarification, the last point, I think it was 18.5D, the transportation concurrency exception areas, those will only apply to the designated CRAs, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so a speaker, I was confused, or it was misleading this morning when they pointed outside of the area and the traffic calculation.
Yes.
So
In Chapter 14, we made an edit of one word, and that's because there was a little inconsistency between the same policy for level of service in Chapter 5 and Chapter 14. They use identical text.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ms. Settlemyer? Or we now have some public comment. Our first request to speak for is Mr. Ted Astolfi. Mr. Astolfi, good afternoon. Good morning. Yes.
I live in the city of Stewart, but I'm a
Good
commissioner.
for you. Well, you're still welcome.
I'm still in the commission. I'm still in the county, by the way.
Yes, you are.
It's
City of Stewart,
still
which
county,
is in
right?
Martin County, yes.
Making sure. So thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. I want to speak on behalf of this new chapter in our comprehensive plan and CRAs. And first of all, thank you all for your ongoing multiple years of support for CRAs. I stood up here 3 years ago asking for an independent CRA board. You did that. We've done public workshops. By the way, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and the Economic Council. We've also worked with the county and your staff on programs to educate the community and the CRA boards and NACs about the importance of redevelopment, not just visioning and planning, and we're getting there. I commend what you've done with the Regional Planning Council on getting the new form-based codes done. And I just want to make a couple of comments because there is a lot of confusion and maybe misinformation that was put out by some of the speakers, particularly this morning and some others. And, this comp plan amendments on the shoreline protection specifically is about 1.2% of the waterfront in our community, and it's about 538 linear feet that we're talking about affecting with the waterfront setback. Unfortunately, it doesn't go beyond that because what it really does is enhance the protections to our water quality. We don't have requirements that you steer your stormwater and your runoff away from the water body it's allowed to run in. What happens with a 75-foot setback may limit the development of your property, but what most people do with that property is they plant sod. And sod requires water, pesticides, fertilizers, herbicides. Those things tend to either be, when it's mowed, blown into the water, adding nitrogen, phosphorus, and those chemicals to the waterway, or the water runs off in. What this does is it enables us to have enhanced protection along those, especially those hardened shorelines where we're adding that living waterfront, which is critical. Requiring the development to steer the water back away from the waterfront and towards those drainage, conveyance, and storage facilities. These things are in the stormwater design toolkit now, but this is going to really kind of codify them into the CRAs and how we redevelop CRAs. Walkable communities, the open space. I get open space on individual parcels, but in CRAs, we're talking about urban core centers where we want public open space, plazas and esplanades and those types of things. So taking those little parcels that aren't really accessible to the public that we call public space or open space and actually putting them into public open space seems to me to make a lot more sense to make a walkable, livable community in those core CRAs. And we can do that. Part of that's the payment in lieu of. So we're not just saying you don't have to do it. We're saying you cannot do it, but you got to pay in so we have the ability to buy up some larger parcels. So thank you for continuing to support the CRAs and supporting this amendment in this new chapter. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next request to speak for him is Ms. Dottie Lancy. Ms. Lancy, good morning.
My name is Dottie Lancy, and I've been a resident here in Martin County for over 20 years. Before I begin my planned remarks, I want to congratulate and thank all you on the board here and the county itself for the excellent leadership during the storm, the recent storm. I think that this, you need to be congratulated and thanked, and we really do appreciate it. And also your efforts to help in the recovery over there in the Bahamas. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, let me begin then with what I plan to say.
Ms. Krista, start her time over.
Oh, thanks for that, too.
My pleasure.
My name is Dottie Lancey, and I've lived here in Martin County for over 20 years. I am speaking to you today not only as a private citizen, but as Vice President of the Hutchinson Island Preservation Initiative. With the board's approval, our board's approval, I am urging you to remove the weakened shoreline protection changes from the CRA proposal, a change which will reduce coastal setback from 75 feet, 50 feet if there is a seawall, to only 25 feet. In the light of our miraculous escape from the ravages of the terrifying Category 5 hurricane just last week, we should be increasing the shoreline protection, not reducing it. Climate change poses a very real threat to our coastlines and our riverfronts. Martin County citizens expect you, our elected public servants, to be just that, servants of the public and representing the best interests of all of us, not just the special interests who may contribute to your campaigns. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and here are 2 pictures of property on Hutchinson Island. The first is a picture from a residence on Bathtub Beach. What do I do? And you may recognize it. Okay, this residence was constructed too close to the shore and is constantly compromised by flooding. And taxpayers spend millions to put all that sand back time and again. You can see how and this is low tide, by the way. The second is a picture taken from a house constructed 15 years ago with the current shoreline setback requirements. Protection is provided to the homeowner. I guess you can see that line in the front is the fence, or not the fence, but it's railing. Balcony, the railing for the balcony there. So protection is provided to the homeowner, and the beautiful dunes are there for all the beachgoers to enjoy. No wasted tax dollars are spent here in a useless fight with Mother Nature. So please, search your individual consciences. Use your common sense. Recognize the danger of decreasing the shoreline protection. The protection is for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next request to speak for, Ms. Lancey, don't forget your photos. Our next request to speak is Ms. Barbara Cloudis. Good morning and welcome.
My name is Barbara Cloudis. I live in District 2. I want to echo what everybody else has said this morning about the response to the hurricane and the threats. I was born and raised in South Florida. I quit counting the number of hurricanes I had endured after it hit 20. But having you visibly at the emergency center gave a great deal of confidence to people who were petrified. And even those who'd experienced hurricanes before were rightfully petrified again at the prospect of Dorian coming ashore. I was one of those who survived the aftermath of Andrew. And one of the things that strikes me about the changes that you're making for the CRAs is that is an incredible tool should we ever have a Dorian strike our county. Because the pictures that we're seeing now, the Bahamas, is exactly what happened in Andrew. Exactly. Houses were dismantled. Properties were dismantled. But the thing about it is, so was the economic base of that town. The economics of the changes that you're proposing here are significant because it gives some stability to neighborhoods. It fosters entrepreneurship. It encourages our work-live spaces. It allows people to age, and I keep thinking of myself. I could live in one of these places, have a business in one of these places, and as I age, I could age in place, maintain my social contacts, have transportation available to me. I honestly believe that this is a crowning achievement that you've finally been able to accomplish with the help of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. This is a superior product. And anybody who wonders what it's really about, they should listen to Dana Little's presentation, which is available on the website, I believe, CRAs. And they too will be impressed at what a difference this is going to make. I commend you. I think this will be not only your crowning achievement as commissioners, maybe second only to convincing Dorian not to come ashore.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next request to speak for is Ms. Sadia Saftaritis. Good morning and welcome.
I'm going to read from a piece of paper because I was told I have an accent. Is that discrimination, by the way?
I don't believe so.
Is it?
No, ma'am.
Yes, it is. And you
Yes, it is.
stop by.
Please continue.
And by the way, I live in Golden Gate. Hooray.
Represented today.
I am. Good morning, commissioners and everyone. For the record, I am Sadia Saftaritis, Golden Gate NAC Chair and Martin County CRA Chairman. I am representing my community and the other 5 communities which make all 6 Martin County redevelopment areas. These communities, each was established as follow. Yes, I'm a historian too. Jensen in 1881. Rio, 1893. Hope Sound, 1699. Did not have. Port Solano in 1920s. Old Palm City, 1914. And of course, Golden Gate plots were bought in 1924. These historic communities predate the establishment of Martin County in 1925. These communities have been supporting Martin County growth as a whole with their taxes for over 138 years. Each community have a boundary called CRA. Chapter 18 is a new plan chapter specifically designed for the 6 CRAs only, not the whole Martin County. I was going to proceed, but Irene already covered a lot of things. Our CRAs have faced many challenges and are realizing our community redevelopment plan, vision plan that were done by and for our residents of each specific community. The new proposed policies have been designed to support traditional neighborhood development. Speaking of The proposed establish a uniform 25-foot shoreline protection zone will affect only 58 lots within the CRA. By the way, none of the CRA live on the ocean. We are next to some of us have a river. Golden Gate have nothing, just a plan. The proposed policies do not increase density. The proposed policies do not increase height. I am truly disappointed for the interpretation to some misleading information. I will repeat over and over again, this CPA 18-10.
You've run out of time.
I don't care.
Please, you've run out of time.
We not apply, I'm sorry, I'm about finished. We not apply to area of Martin County. This will apply only to the CRAs.
Thank you. Deputy, have her removed. That close. It was that close. He was just checking his batteries on the taser.
And Ms. Dooley, you better figure out something to say so you can represent District 2. I'm not feeling the love up here, so.
Two.
I mean, 3.
Boom.
Yeah, okay.
But you got the oldest community.
Yeah, I am the oldest.
I'm going to check into that 1644 thing. I'm not sure.
He was there barefoot.
Yeah.
That's when they first started cutting lawns out that way. Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public looking to address us on this topic prior to us closing that portion? Comes back to the board. Questions from my colleagues? I have a couple. I guess I'll go. Do you have questions? Or are you going to?
I was going to make like a small comment.
Go ahead.
I think interesting about the whole shoreline protection discussion. And one of the speakers showed a great picture of the dune still being there. If it weren't really for the efforts of our former engineering, we don't call them engineering anymore, we're something else, department, rebuilding the beaches as we rebuild them, and the money we do spend, which is a lot to protect our shoreline and protect Hutchinson Island, is why that dune is still there. I mean, that's the cool thing. I mean, if there was anything cool to come out of the presentations, I think the fact that we just went through the edge of a hurricane, there is still a dune to see with the erosion that a lot of beaches in Florida experienced as a result of Dorian. It does pay testament to the efforts that our whole engineering department and coastal engineering department put into rebuilding those beaches to do exactly what you just saw in the pictures, to protect what's there. And so thanks for showing that. That was really good. And on the rest of this, to the Regional Planning Council, to our staff, to all the volunteers that have spent years and years participating in all this effort, thank you. I think we have really put together a world-class product, and I think as been stated, this is a really great moment for us. With that, I'd move approval.
Commissioner Jenkins.
As being a huge CRA supporter, obviously I'm in support of this effort, and the effort that staff and the Treasure Coast Regional Planning has put into this is amazing. What's disappointing is people that don't support the CRAs are using some misinformation to further sensationalize their position of not supporting CRAs or business for that matter. It's pretty easy to educate yourself by sitting through these meetings. Our staff, every staff member in this building is more than able and willing to answer any questions with the actual facts, but reading some of these emails that are complete fabrication of information is disappointing. And with that, I will second the motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Hetherington?
I just want, on that note, Commissioner Jenkins, that to commend staff on what an amazing job that you've done. Particularly, I'm impressed with the community outreach. I mean, over 18 somewhat community meetings, you've been out and around the county everywhere, and I think you've done a tremendous job of involving the public, answering questions, and really a grassroots kind of effort to involve everybody in Martin County. So I commend you on the community outreach that you've done.
Thank you. Commissioner Hurd.
Yeah, I'm not going to be supporting the motion for all the reasons that I mentioned during the transmittal hearing, and also because this advances and promotes the homogenization of South Florida. And we've always defined ourselves by our distinct differences. This is weakening protections and cheapening our brand, so I won't be supporting it.
Thank you. I read all the emails that we all got. They really started in a flurry over the weekend. Obviously, I think, and I recognize most of the folks that emailed engaged in the community. We have a difference of opinion, two sides of the coin, if you will. This bevy of emails probably is the result of an email that had gone out presenting a specific side of this agenda item. People are more than entitled to look at a situation from two different perspectives. I think that most of the folks that sent in emails, a large percentage of them, are in that camp of what they believe to be somehow protecting Martin County, or the belief that most of us up here are doing favors for campaign contributors or big business. The only time I've had folks that have asked me about some of these issues are small property owners, individual residents that live along in Palm City on some of the little tributary little river canals, if you will, that have asked me to come to their yards and see what they had proposed, many in Lighthouse Point, some north of Martin Downs Boulevard. We don't have a tremendous amount of commercial waterfront in Palm City, but I do know other businesses throughout the community. This was not some gigantic giveaway to big business or contributors. I try very hard to listen to both sides and understand, and quite often there are times where I'll see an email where someone has brought up an interesting point where I will then go to staff and say, what about this? And so what I like to do, and I've done in the past, is, Ms. Sattlemyre, I know that many people have heard this, but if you could run through, and Mr. Doolin could potentially help you, not just yourself, and I know that you've had the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council and a lot of community input for and against this, but tell us internally who's involved in this. I see a tremendous amount of our professional staff standing next to you. Just for the folks that are not in the fight, that are on one side or the other, I call them inside baseball, but for residents that are neutral, that might be concerned if they got an email or heard some things that we're destroying our brand or making us look like South Florida, can you tell us from your staff's perspective, how do you run through this and where does this information come from?
Well, as has been reported at several of the meetings, this has been a real team effort. And so leadership came from Nikki Van Vano, the Growth Management Director, and Don Donaldson, the Deputy County Administrator, and Susan Corris, the Office of Community Development Manager, Dana Little, and Jessica Quarter Seymour from the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council provided tremendous expertise and guidance with the creation, especially of the two new future land use designations, and of course are taking the leadership on the codes that will implement these policies. Clyde Doolin, Comp Plan Administrator, Krista Story, the Assistant County Administrator, Lisa Wixer, the county engineer, and some of her staff in ecosystems restoration and in development review. And in growth management, Darrell DeLue, the environmental administrator, and Sean McCarthy, a principal planner in the environmental division. Did I miss anybody? Some of Susan's staff, Josh Mills, helped a lot with some of the GIS analysis.
Some of the development review staff.
The development review staff has provided input. I think I got everybody.
Thank you. The people that you didn't, they'll be annoyed. But the
Sorry if I missed somebody.
The reason I ask is because you have that collection. Most of those names are very recognizable. Decades of experience, professional engineers, professional training. They're outside of the political pendulum that swings back and forth. Like I said when I began my remarks, I appreciate that people will have a difference of opinion in the United States. Anyone that can rally up their troops to send information, all of these emails and stuff like that. But did any time during the conversation, do you feel that some of the things that we've heard either this morning or in these emails or from one of my colleagues, do you feel that we are somehow damaging or jeopardizing the environment in the changes that you're looking to make?
No.
Do you feel that we're somehow damaging the community fabric of Martin County with these
No.
changes? If you would have either changed this document to be more appropriate, if that's what you felt, or you wouldn't be sitting right there, correct? So I get that there's a sort of a game afoot, which I have to participate in. I'm an elected official. But I just want regular Martin County citizens that are not participating in what we do daily to understand we're not up here voting, no matter what they hear, either in an email, social media, or from one of us. No one's here trying to destroy. These people and some of our speakers that have been involved in the CRA since its inception, I mean, they're trying to improve their communities. I'm not trying to hurt. If I genuinely thought that this was somehow going to damage our community, I would also be voting no, or you wouldn't even be here today, would never even get to this point. So I just think that that's the clear statement. People can like us or dislike us for our positions, but staff put this together. I didn't influence their decisions. These are professionals that came up with this, and some of them are outside of our initial staff. So even if Ms. Krizda or Mr. Donaldson had some ability to put some kind of pressure for a decision to come one way or the other, we've also brought in experts that make a living doing this. And to say that they would somehow slip something through or damage our community is disrespectful to their decades of experience and professional qualifications. I get that people don't like us politically, but to scare residents into thinking we're somehow damaging the community is inappropriate. And with that, we have a motion by Commissioner Smith, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins, for staff's recommendation of approval. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
The motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting. It's nearly 12 o'clock. We will take our thank you to all of the staff involved in this. We'll keep, Mr.
Thank
Doolan?
you.
My pleasure. We will now take our lunch break, and we will return